So now that I know what is not my thing, how do I find out what is my thing? So that was part of that journey of figuring out. I was watching movies every weekend and writing reviews on email and sending it to a bunch of friends. Third time you interview that same actor, you're like, Jesus, what do I talk to this guy about, And they had to really try very hard. I truly believe there are two kinds of biases. Then you owe it to your profession. Once that initial thing has happened, you both know that you are very passionate about the medium, and which is why that review has happened. Because above all, the medium matters. What matters is the medium. What has brought you together as friends or as collaborators on a book or whatever it is your passion for the medium. That is the overriding thing. Because I'm saying at the end of the day, what binds us together is this love for cinema as an art form. They get into the field because they feel so passionate about it, and I entered this field because I'm so passionate about it. So that passion is very difficult to find in people. Very fair, to be very frank, I'm giving my opinion on somebody's work. They're giving their opinion on my work, right? So and somebody else will give an opinion on their comment and then add infinitum, right?
Hi, I'm delighted to invite you to another episode of Mindscape Matters, a channel to discuss mental health and more. Today will be our second interview in the section Exploring the Mindscape, where we invite an expert in different field and discuss mental health. Now, movies always resonate with mental health because movies are all about emotions, conflicts, and resolution of conflicts. Today, the reviewing of movie has become a separate art form. There are many reviewers who have huge fan following because of their unique style of reviewing. And today's guest, Mr. Baradwaj Rangan, is one of them. And in addition to being a reviewer, he is also a film journalist and he's the editor of Galata Plus. Thank you, Mr. Baradwaj Rangan, for being with us.
Thank you, Dr. Mohanraj, and thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you.
And for that very kind introduction.
No, I'm not done with the introduction yet. Okay. He has got an award, national award for being the best critic. He has written 2 books on movies. We'll talk about it a little later. And I will start with expressing my gratitude for spreading awareness about mental health, because from the first video of Mindscape Matters and Mananalam Nalamari Aval, you have been tweeting and letting the word spread to newer audiences. I'm very, very grateful.
No, I'm grateful to you for making these videos because, it's only recently that mental health awareness has kind of happened. And I think more people need to be aware that just like we go to the doctor for physical, like if I have a fracture or if I, have a fever, it's sometimes you need to go to a doctor to, if you're mentally not well, and that does not mean a failure on your part, but it's more like something that is, happening in your body just like physically, and I think it's doctors like you that these videos that you make spread the word. So I think it's very important, and if I have a small part in spreading the word, I'm very happy to do it.
You are a film journalist, but your first degree is neither in film or in journalism. You have done your chemical engineering from BITS Pilani. Can you tell me about that journey?
This chemical engineering is one of those things which is you're pushed into, right? Because you're either in the science group or in the commerce group. Then after that, if you're in the commerce group, you go to do your, like BCom, CA, whatever. If you're science group, engineering, medicine, there were a few options. So engineering it was, because the thing is, I think as I mean, it might sound a little horrible, but I think it is important to have that 4-year educational period or 3-year educational period after your school, uh, either because it is going to take you forward to your next to a job or something like that, or to simply have 4 years to grow as a person and figure things out. Because as a student, you are constantly under the shelter of your parents, always listening to what they tell you to do, or mostly, or if it's a joint family, like everybody has an opinion or something like that. So when you transplant it to some place like BITS, which is so far away from home, and like culturally you're meeting so many different people at the same time, you suddenly, all other ideas, other ways of living, other ways of being kind of keep popping into your head. And I think that allows you to grow a lot as a person from being the sheltered person in a sheltered home. And you're thrown into, be fend for yourself situation. And I think that is definitely of use, whether it's BITS or REC Trichy or whatever it is, or whatever it's called now. I think being away from home is something that really helped me. And I think once that happened, and of course, the chemical engineering path was something, after about a year, I knew that was not something I was equipped to do, simply because I truly believe that, we are all genetically programmed to be certain things. Like for example, you have a great musician. I believe they can be trained, but they cannot be created. They can maybe hone their talent, but the music is in their genes. It's that ability to vocalize or whatever it is, that is part of that genetic makeup. And I think engineering or that kind of stuff was not part of my thing. So now that I know what is not my thing, how do I find out what is my thing, right? So uh, after a lot of trial and error, I of course I've always been, English has been had been one of my favorite subjects at school. I was very good at writing, reading. I was very interested in reading. I was very good at writing English, and from a young age, because I was exposed to a lot of cinema, I was always the kind of person who would end up watching cinema at a deeper level than my friends would. There was just one other person with whom we discussed like movies at a slightly deeper level. Others, I would be like I'm this fan, I'm that fan, I'm a Kamal fan, I'm a Rajni fan, something like that. At that basic level. Uh, so this seemed to be a way to kind of merge those two interests. And also by that time I had discovered a lot of the American and English, British film critics, and doing a very personal kind of film analysis, but also very professional. That is, you're being subjective because it's your response to a movie, but there are also some objective criteria with which you are analyzing a film. So I found that was not really very common in Indian film criticism. So I was like, is there an opening there? And that was about the time the internet opened up. So I found that by accident, I landed up at a time when blogs were booming, and I got a job offer to do this, and then it took off. It took me a 5-year period of struggle, but after that.
Was this sitagita.com?
Sita Gita was when I was contributing, but my first proper job was at the New Indian Express. The New Sunday Express, I was like the film critic.
That was a job.
That was a job. Before that, I was freelancing.
But you had also been an IT consultant for some time.
Yeah. So that was part of that journey of figuring out, because the thing is, I'm deciding that writing is my thing, right? So I went into advertising in Chennai, thinking that writing, but then I discovered that advertising is business writing. It's not creative writing. You're writing for a client. So if a client wants you to say, shirts 50% off, that's all that you need. That's what it's a message. It's a business message. It's not really writing, like a story or something like that. And I discovered that the best advertising is sometimes the simplest form of most direct communication, where you're kind of being the most direct about it. So that was not for me. So, but somehow I went abroad. I'd written my GRE and I went abroad for a degree in advertising and like public relations, and I wanted to see if an advertising job there was different. But it was difficult for brown-skinned people there to enter an advertising which was largely dominated by white-skinned people, and B, that was Y2K. So anybody with the smallest amount of computer skills was in demand because like test opening. So suddenly like I got this job offer at a consulting place, and it sounds insane, but at that point you had to be there because there was such a shortage of people who knew how to program or whatever it is, and because all this had been part of my curriculum earlier in BITS and in other places, like had a basic knowledge of working with programming languages. And I think as Indians, we pick up things a little quickly. I don't know if it's like everywhere or just maybe it's me. I don't know. You're able to pick up things quickly even if you're not really into it. So yeah, so one question I'm often asked is, don't you think, had you, you should have been an engineer because otherwise your seat could have gone to another person who would have become an engineer and used that degree. But then I say, see, that's a very presumptuous thing to say because that person could have done engineering and done an MBA and then become a financial consultant or something like that.
There are many people who do that.
There are many people who do that. So engineering is a pathway to many things, or rather your first degree is a pathway to do many things. So no, I don't subscribe to that notion, but I just thought I'd put it out there because there are many people who ask me this question.
Okay.
So yeah.
Then you transitioned from Indian Express to Hindu, then Film Companion, and now to Galata. So do you want to talk about that journey?
So I got into the Indian Express, the new Indian Express, in a very strange way because I wanted to write. When I was in IT, I was watching movies every weekend and writing reviews on email and sending it to a bunch of friends.
Okay.
Now, without my knowing it, they were sending it to their group of friends and their group of friends, and suddenly, the word viral did not exist then,
those days.
but somehow it became some form of viral. And what happened is one of them sent it to this lady, Sushila Ravindranath, who was going to take on the role of editor of the New Indian Express, and she was looking for a film writer. Okay. And she read this review of mine and she said, I like this voice and are you interested in joining? And it was a decision, should I stay in the US or come back here? And for me, at that point, it was a no-brainer because I was really, that was one of those things. I'm not suited for this job. Let somebody else take this job who's actually going to be good at this job, because I kind of want to try my hand at this other thing. And, looking back, I sometimes wonder, it's either the courage of youth or the foolishness of youth. I don't know what you want to call it, but I just left the job and came back. All my friends were like, at least get a green card. So you're like, you're safe in case it doesn't work out. And I was like, no, if I get a green card, then I just won't give this my 100%. I'll come back here. I come here and, I come back here and everybody thinks I've gone mad, when I would need to see a Dr. Mohan Raj, so to fix myself and get back to engineering or some safety kind of thing. But after 5 years, things settled down and,
So this was a paid job, not a part-time review writing.
Which one?
Indian Express.
It was a paid job.
Okay.
There was a retainership, not like a salary, but it was a paid job. Before that, the Sita Gita, the Economic Times, Madras Plus, those were freelance kind of things. This was a paid retainership thing. Mm-hmm. Then I came to the Hindu, which was an actual, that was as a deputy editor, and that was another paid job. And then, so those 10 years, that is 2012 to 2003 to 13 roughly, 12 roughly, I was in the print media.
Okay.
And by then, at least back then there was enough of a reading public, so my reviews got to be popular, I guess, within a niche, of course, because they appealed to a niche, I guess. Then when I went to then Anupama Chopra from Film Companion, she wanted to start Film Companion South. And so she approached me and asked me if I would start this digital channel. And I was hesitant at first because I always thought digital was a young person's medium, like somebody just out of college or something like that. Would somebody like me fit into that? So that took some time to decide. And I also think that of course today I'm very comfortable in front of the camera, but back then you don't know what the camera is. Your writing is different. You're writing in a corner. You have time to fix things. You can take your time over something. You can change paragraphs around and all that. Whereas when you're doing an interview or when you're doing something like that, because the other person is there only for a short period of time, you pretty much have to have everything like thing, and you should be very quick-witted, because if they're taking an interview in one direction, you have to be able to jump over to that line of thought, complete it, and not just say, oh, I have these questions, so I have to only go along this line. It took a while. But I think, but the plus side of that was my readership followed me to the video realm,
visual
and
media.
a new bunch of people started following me who were only video consumers. So that really helped. And then after 5 years at Film Companion South, Galata plus, Galata.com, Aruna Krishnan, my boss right now, she called me and she said, she wanted to have me for the channel, and we were talking about it, and then she wanted we decided that we wanted to do what today is called pan-Indian, which is like basically I would be covering cinema from across India rather than just the South. And that seemed like the next logical step, because I was covering the South in Film Companion, now I'm covering Hindi. I've done an Assamese interview, I've done things like that. So that it just seemed like a logical next step. And and so here
That's
I
a
am.
nice progression. Tamil movies, then all South Indian 4 languages. Now I see you doing a lot of interview with Hindi and, as you said, Assamese.
So it's a nice progression. And see, the thing is also is to keep things interesting, in the sense that, see, if you kept interviewing me, like now you are interviewing me, we've known each other for a long time, but you are interviewing me for the first time. Let's say there's some other occasion and you interview me next year, right? So you'll find it a little more difficult, because you've already talked to me a lot and gotten a lot of them. But the third time you interview me, you'll be like, oh my God, this guy not again. What do I ask him? So that becomes another problem when you're interviewing just one industry, because the first time you talk to an actor, you're extracting all this information from them. How do you act? What happens? Which is your favorite film? Who are your favorite actors? Who did you get your most important lessons from, and all that. Second time you're like, okay, and then you get it. But third time you interview that same actor, you're like, Jesus, what do I talk to this guy about? And they had to really try very hard. So this is also, by expanding your spectrum, you're talking to other actors, and I truly believe in feeding off energies, and different people
Give you
different energies. And that's lovely when you're talking to somebody and bouncing off their energy while doing an interview. And it's very I think it's a privilege to be able to do that, to interview different people and have that energy come to you, and you give back something that's you didn't know you had in you, because sometimes they push different buttons, and some people make you think very differently from what you would originally think. And so if you look at my list of questions and you look at the final interview,
it'll be
they'll
totally
be very
different.
two different, very different things. So it's been a very interesting journey.
That's a very unique thing about you as a critic, because in addition to being a reviewer, you also do this in-depth interviews called deep focus or wide angle. So there I've seen that you go into the filmmaking process, and your questioning brings out the passion you have for movies, and as you said, the energies bounce off both of you. That's I've really enjoyed.
Thank you.
And one of the thing is, now with these interviews, you get to meet actors, directors, and you become friendly. So my question to you is, on one hand, you have these actors and directors who are friendly, and their movies coming up for review. So it's a friend, and if the movie is bad, what do I do? On the other hand, you have fans huge followings for each of these directors and actors who will not want to hear anything negative about the movie. So in such a situation, one is known them friendship, another one is threat of fans getting offended. And if the movie turns out to be bad, how do you manage to see to it that these two factors don't influence your review?
So I truly believe there are two kinds of biases. One is an internal bias, which is I like black color, I don't like black color. I like spicy food, I don't like spicy food. So some movie aesthetically might not be pleasing to me or something like that, that or not suit my sensibility or something like that. So that you're kind of internally you're processing the movie in such a way that this shot is wrong, that shot is something else. That's fine. That I can live with. And I know that there is nothing much I can do about it because this is the kind of filmmaking that I like, and that's the kind of filmmaking that works for me. The other one is the external bias where I say, I've written a book on Mani Ratnam, so should I, like his movie's coming up, what happens? Or I'm friendly with Gautam Menon, and if his movie's coming up, what happens?
Exactly.
I work but the thing is, or rather, to put it very frankly, I named these two because they're kind of obvious front. I've done lots of interviews with Gautam and I've written this book on Mani Ratnam, but there are many others that you don't know that I'm on a name basis with or friendly with, or they send scripts or I give inputs, or we generally end up talking things with. So with these external bias things, possibility of external bias things, what I do is when I don't like a movie, I send them a message saying that this movie did not work for me. So my logic is this, that before they read it from the newspaper, I inform them earlier that this is not working for me. So they know that this review is going to be a mixed review or something like that, right? Now, it's highly unlikely that the people that I like and admire are going to make a rank bad film. Generally speaking, it's usually like not happening. But if that happens, then you owe it to your profession and think that you say things like they are. See, because I'm not the kind of person who usually trolls a movie, I always talk about this works, that did not work. I'm not into really saying it in an insulting or that's not my thing, that's not my style. Unless, very rarely some movie sets me off and, makes me lose my cool or something like that. Most people, they still talk to me, they still are okay with me. But the thing is, you have to realize that you are there for the passion of cinema, they are there for the passion of cinema. So even if temporarily they are upset by something that you do, in the longer run, it's not going to be there for too long, because once that initial thing has happened, you both know that you are very passionate about the medium, and which is why that review has happened. Because above all, the medium matters. What matters is the medium. What has brought you together as friends or as collaborators on a book or whatever it is your passion for the medium. That is the overriding thing. Everything else becomes secondary.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Because see, there are times when I don't agree with your reviews, but I like the way you present your view. And I know it's your view. All of us don't have to agree all the time. Right. But my question was, has there been, you don't have to name anybody, but has there been occasion when people did not like your review and were cold to you for a longer time?
You mean people as in creators or?
Creators.
Yeah,
you don't have to name, but has there been occasion
no,
when
actually
they were
never.
upset
No, they haven't been cold, but they've been like a bit sarcastic when I met them the next time or something like that. But that's always been very temporary. It's not nothing that's lasted or broken a relationship or anything like that. Because I'm saying at the end of the day, what binds us together is this love for cinema as an art form, not just as like some entertainment. I'm going munching popcorn. It's not that. it's almost sacred, It's like they get into the field because they feel so passionate about it. And I entered this field because I'm so passionate about it. So that passion is very difficult to find in people. So when you find that in other people, you usually make up, because the medium bonds you. The next time you want to talk about something like a great film that you saw, you message somebody, they're like, yeah, I saw that film, it's great, right? And it's like, that's kind of...
Now coming to the fans. Now fans don't tolerate any negative opinion about their stars.
Yeah.
So how have they been to you when you say something negative about a film?
They've been, very fair, to be very frank, like I'm giving my opinion on somebody's work. They're giving their opinion on my work, right? So and somebody else will give an opinion on their comment and then ad infinitum, right? So you know this is going to go on and on. How do I respond? I think, now I'm not as active on Twitter, but earlier I used to be very active on Twitter, and I think that was a huge help to me in developing a thick skin. It was like because normally when if two people meet on the street, they're not going to insult each other, right? Like even if you disagree, they might say, hey, what is this? Why did you say this? Or something like that they might just say. But on Twitter, you get abusive. You are called names. You are, your privilege, your caste, class, privilege, everything is called out. Something happens. It's almost like they want to bring you down every which way possible. So you know that it's not like really doesn't mean anything, because somebody hiding behind an anonymous name is basically, which is like, dude, if you're really serious about it, at least tell me your name and criticize me. Don't hide behind some stupid anonymous name and then, hurl insults at somebody. That's like the worst form of cowardice. That's the worst form of cowardice, according to me. It's like hiding behind an assumed name. But that's the nature of the thing. So, their comments have been extraordinarily valuable to me, because once you get that, it's almost like, how do I put it? Let's say you have a wart on your face, okay? You're very sensitive about it and you don't like looking at yourself in the mirror, but you keep looking at yourself every day, and one day you'll realize that the wart doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You've overcome your fear, your shame of that wart. And if somebody else notices that wart and makes fun of it, it's their problem and it's not yours.
Exactly.
It's something similar to that. Okay. Does that kind of make sense?
Good. It's a new lesson
Yes.
of how to manage trolls on social media.
Yeah, I thought so.